Hi, Neal here with Piano Bench Chat number 93 for November 2023. I am sitting here at the piano, proudly wearing my Dayton Opera Sweeney Todd shirt, still basking, I suppose, in the afterglow of our very successful and wonderfully fun run of performances of Sweeney Todd. It's a little funny to call it a run of performances when it's just 2 performances in less than 24 hours. But after all the work that the amazing cast and orchestra and crew and everyone put into making the show successful, and 2 sold-out houses in the Victoria Theater, it was a really thrilling and just wonderful weekend at Dayton Opera, and I got this great shirt from it. Home designed and just wonderful. The music I played you is by Mozart because one of the things about the life of a conductor is that even when you have a wonderful experience and a big success with something like Sweeney Todd, there's always a next project to get to. And this week there is a next project, a Dayton Philharmonic Masterworks Series concert coming up, including music of Mozart, his Jupiter Symphony, and Beethoven, his Leonore Overture No. 3, and Dayton Philharmonic Principal Horn Aaron Brandt playing the beautiful and wonderful neoclassical Second Horn Concerto by Richard Strauss. Just a wonderful, wonderful program and a wonderful way to get back into the Schuster Center playing the old classics after 2 weeks of ballet and opera performances at the Victoria. So that was the beginning of the second movement of Mozart's Jupiter Symphony. And it's interesting because that opening gives, I think, an interesting insight into what happens sometimes in conductors' minds, or at least this conductor's mind, thinking about music, especially a piece like the Jupiter Symphony, which I've known for so long and played many times in orchestras and conducted many times. And every time you come back to a piece like that, a very familiar piece, the smartest thing to do is to think about it in a different way, if you can. And last year, I had an amazing experience with the Jupiter Symphony. The Philharmonic performed it on our stained glass concert program that we played in several different community churches as part of our community outreach program. And in some of those performances, we had dancers from Dayton Contemporary Dance Company join the Philharmonic for the performance. And one of the pieces the DC dancers performed to was the second movement of Mozart's Jupiter Symphony. And seeing what Kevin Ward did with his choreography really made me think about this piece in a whole new way. You see, this is Mozart's last symphony. He wrote it, I think, maybe 3 years before he died. He may have had more symphonies in mind to write, but because it's his last one, it has grown around it just this kind of mythology of greatness. Now, first of all, it is a great symphony, and it deserves all the accolades it gets. It maybe even deserves the title Jupiter, which Mozart didn't give to him. It was a friend of his who dubbed it that for PR reasons. But the thing is, this piece is so beloved and so admired that I think we sometimes take it a little too seriously. And doing the second movement with the DC dancers and seeing Kevin Ward's choreography opened like a window for me into a different way of looking at this movement and really the whole symphony, a sense of playfulness. It's a little bit long distance, but here's the very beginning of the Philharmonic's performance from last year of the second movement of the Jupiter Symphony in performance at a stained glass concert at Grace United Methodist Church in Dayton. And I think you'll see what I mean about the playful approach that Kevin took to the music at the beginning of this movement. Now, honestly, before working with DC on this piece, if you had asked me, what is the second movement of the Jupiter Symphony like? I would say it's lyrical, it's warm, it has dramatic moments, it has a singing character, it has a grace to it. I don't think I would have thought of the word playful, but just seeing the gestures in the choreography at the beginning of the movement, and let's look at them again a little bit closer up. Seeing that, I thought, wait a minute, this music is playful. And as a result, I tried to instill a kind of playfulness in that movement when we played it. And this year, now that we're playing it on the Masterwork series, I have tried to find the playfulness throughout the Jupiter Symphony, and folks, I have found it. So Kevin and his dancers have inspired me to look at this masterpiece in a slightly different way. It's still a masterpiece, but I'm not reverential about it the way we sometimes tend to be with this great piece. I'm trying to be playful with it and have fun with it. And I'm hoping I can communicate that to the musicians. So you might be thinking, well, why are people so reverential about this piece? Well, I'll tell you a little bit about it. And it has to do with the last movement, which is really one of the most amazing pieces of music any human being came up with. Mozart, throughout his life, but especially in the later years of his life, and he didn't live that long, but still, in the later years of his life, he was just overflowing with musical ideas and just great melody after great melody and great inspiration. And we hear that throughout this symphony as well. But when you get to the last movement, Mozart had reached a point where he didn't think one musical theme was enough. It was enough for Haydn very often. Didn't think two was enough. That's what most people did writing symphonies in Mozart's time. Didn't even think that three was enough, and Mozart often had three main melodic ideas in movements of his symphonies. Not even four. He went to five. The last movement of Mozart's Jupiter Symphony is based on 5 different themes. The first one is this, just 4 notes, which could have been the beginning of a counterpoint exercise that his father had him do back when he was just a kid. But the whole movement is built on these 4 notes. But a little after that, he introduces a second melodic idea, completely different, that goes like this. And he plays with those 2 themes in combination. And he says, that second one is so good, I'll also put it in the music upside down. Ran out of fingers there, but you get the idea. The third melodic idea comes in a little bit later, and it's a very simple little pattern. And he plays with those 3 ideas and combines them in various complicated ways. That's not enough. He introduces a 4th idea. And guess what? He combines those 4 ideas in various imaginative ways. And that's not enough. He wants a 5th one, which is a little bit like the 3rd one, but it is distinctly different. And it sounds like this. And he plays with all of those. And then we get to the last minute and a half of the piece. And Mozart does one of the most amazing things there is, because he's introduced these 5 melodic ideas, and he's combined them in various ways, which we call in musical jargon contrapuntal, coming from counterpoint, which is where Mozart would have started his compositional studies way, way back when he was just not even probably as high as this piano bench, working with his father, working on counterpoint exercises, which are designed to teach you how to handle the relationships between different notes within very, very strict rules that limit what you can do at any moment. And it's a great training for composers, and Mozart went through it. And in this last symphony, and again, he didn't know it was going to be his last symphony, he writes this incredible contrapuntal piece with all of this intricacy that looks back in a way technically to Bach and earlier composers. But he also combines it with almost a kind of rock and roll sensibility, the latest stylish kind of music that was being written in the late 1780s. Very different for the most part than the contrapuntal stuff Mozart was putting into his symphony. So in the last movement, he reveals the fact that all of these 5 melodic ideas that he introduces are designed so that they can be used in what's called invertible counterpoint, which is the most complicated kind of counterpoint there is. The idea of regular counterpoint is you have 2 voices or 3 voices, however many more voices you have, and they have to relate to each other following the strict rules. Invertible counterpoint means you have 2 voices, and what happens if you put the voice that's on top underneath? Well, sometimes the rules that you're following here get broken when you do this. But if you've written your music in invertible counterpoint, it doesn't matter which is on top. And if you write in 3-part invertible counterpoint, which is even harder, you can have all of the various combinations. It would be, I guess, 6 different combinations. 4-part invertible counterpoint is 4 times 3 times 2. The math gets too hard for me. I did look this up. If you have 5 voices in invertible counterpoint, there are a total of 120 different combinations of those 5 voices. And if it's really good invertible counterpoint, they all work. And well, Mozart is really good and they all work. In the last minute or so of the piece, he doesn't use all 120, but there's a wonderful passage where he just sets up these themes and he basically starts juggling them and shows off all the different possible combinations of these 5 themes, not all of them, but a good number of them. So here's this excerpt from Mozart's Jupiter Symphony, and I'll show you on the screen the combinations that he uses. Show you all the others getting up to 120, but I will show you one of the combinations that he doesn't use, which is the one where they go from top to bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if he had done that, that would have sounded like this. So there's a little bit of a look inside Mozart's for Symphony number 41, just an amazing, amazing piece of music. It is playful, but it's also incredibly written technically, hearkening back to old traditions, using new traditions, and it's just a delightful piece. And I am so happy to be playing it with the musicians of the orchestra. And you know, there aren't many conductors in the world who get to conduct Sweeney Todd one weekend and Mozart and Beethoven and Strauss the next weekend, and I count myself very lucky. So thanks for listening to this Piano Bench Chat. Have a wonderful November, have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll be back with you next month with a December-themed Piano Bench Chat, which will be number 94. Wow. Have a great month, take care, and we'll see you at the shoe store, I hope.